Hello, I'm Mr. Chappelli, and welcome to round 17 and 18 of TGP2. We're here live in China, where you join us for qualifying. The season is winding down to an end, but the action and championship certainly isn't, as we have only 10 points in the three-way title battle with 4 races to go. Joining me in the commentary box tonight is Dan the Man, a man who has been at the forefront of TGP title battles many a time, and I couldn't think of anyone better to be discussing it with. Welcome, Dan. How are we feeling about the racing tonight?
Yeah, good evening, Luke. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, really looking forward tonight. Penultimate week of action, of course, and we've got a huge title battle. Three drivers really in with contention, but there's three others as well who are sort of outsiders, but you can't really fully rule them out either. So, as usual in TGP2, it's an incredibly close championship, and really it could go any way, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops tonight.
Indeed, yeah. So we've got, as you say, a three-way title fight here, penultimate rounds of the season, and with Daniel P. Wheelnut taking those couple of weeks off, it's anyone's game here, really, isn't it? I mean, we're not going to exactly see a clean sweep with somebody with the momentum to really take it to the right to the end, are we? It's just going to be. Yeah, it's up in the air. We have no idea. We've got Magic Pukan there, 4.5 tenths clear of the field, but we have no idea what his race pace is going to be, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as we look at these times at the minute in qualifying, as you say, you can see Buchanan there with a for TGP2 a incredible lap time of 132.883. That would have put him fifth on the grid yesterday, I believe, in TGP1, and he's only 200ths off my lap time, 400ths off my lap time, sorry, which would have put him in fourth on a TGP1 grid yesterday. So he's obviously, he's obviously got incredible pace around here. This must be his favourite track on the game because he is ridiculously quick. But it should be pointed out that yesterday during the actual race in TGP1, he jumped the start and then crashed out a few laps later. So he's definitely got the quality pace. We've seen that. We've certainly seen that in this session as well. But has he got the pace to get the race win? We'll find out. I mean, he needs to if he wants to really stand a chance to win the championship. As I say, he's in fourth place, 33 points back to Lewis Craig, the leader.
Yes, indeed. As we're actually on board with Bazza as he does start his lap, what looks to be his final attempt round China here. Very, very slow outlap for him, so I'm hoping he's been able to keep temperature in the tyres as he comes round what I can only think at the moment are the worst set of corners on the F1 calendar here in China. Obviously, we haven't raced in China in real life, but we should have been as Bazza goes in and he does miss that apex. So I do wonder if he has lost some temperature on that really slow outlap that he was doing. But we're going to stick on board with him as he comes through to this left-hander in Sector 2 and this right-hander that you have to try and keep up nice and tight here in order to get a really good drive through this double left-hander and make sure that you don't go too far wide here because you will invalidate your lap time. He's going to come up to the end of Sector 2 here and we'll have an idea as to what his Sector 2 time is. He's 6 tenths up on his previous best. Slightly misses that apex here as he comes along round the long right-hander. Get as much speed as you can coming through here to get the maximum top speed along the back straight. Hasn't got his teammate towing him along here, which we have seen in TGP1 with some drivers. Keep out of the way of that driver on the right-hand side as DRS goes wide open and he's thundering down to this apex here. Where's he going to brake? He's going to brake around the 100-metre board. Will he hit this apex? He clips it quite nicely and let the car run out wide. Oh, and has a little bit of a half-spin moment there, but hopefully it hasn't affected his time too much here. Clip this apex and let the car run out wide, not too wide, and stay to the right-hand side for the shortest time. What's it going to be? Goes across the line. He's 4 tenths quicker, but it doesn't look like he's improved on his position there, Dan.
Yeah, he's missed out big time there, hasn't he? I mean, it is actually 35.091, but then only 2 places ahead of him is Jacko on a 34.101. So, to be honest, he lost so much time that last sector. He actually probably would have gone quicker, I reckon, than that time there set by Jacko, and probably a couple of others as well, because he had that massive swapper, as you say, on the penultimate corner there, and then he went a bit too wide on the final corner. And that's the thing as well with this track. It's almost like the AstroTurf is ridiculously slippy compared to really any other sort of similar piece of track on any other circuit on this game. It's you have to be really careful. You have to really stay within the lines on the circuit. You do not want to be running out too wide because you will genuinely lose quite a lot of time around here. But that's just one of the things you have to try and navigate around this horrible track. There's zero redeemer features for me at all. But we'll see if any of these guys can put in a final lap time now to improve their position with 40 seconds to go in the session. Poop Cannon, look at that, Poop Cannon hasn't even bothered. He hasn't even bothered. He's 35 seconds to go. He sat in the pit lane, checking Twitter, watching some telly. He thinks he's got the cold nails.
He thinks he's got this nail similar to Rosberg a few years ago when he stayed in the pit lane and not doing his final attempt. But we're on board here with Lewis Craig, the man who I believe's got the most poles this season and also has the most wins. So this will be an interesting one to see where he can get and if he can challenge for that all-important pole position from Magic Poop Cannon. And he's very neat round this snail section here. Coming up to the end of Sector 1, he's got to pick his braking point on the left-hand side here. Let's see what his Sector 1 time's going to be. He's 5 thousandths up on his previous best. He's going to have to do better than that if he wants to challenge for pole. But we'll stick on board with him at the moment as he's coming round. A great view of the grandstand there coming round, but he's not going to be concentrating on that. He's going to be concentrating on the inside of this line and then the exit and the inside of the next one, getting the best run he can through this tricky technical S section here. We'll see how he's going along here, and he comes up. Don't know what his Sector 2 time is.
He's 4.5 tenths up, so he's actually finding quite a bit of time. It's only going to be enough for pole. It probably won't be enough for pole, but it's certainly looking pretty quick.
Yeah, as we saw that Mercedes on the outside there. Not sure what happened there. Maybe he had a moment, but hopefully that's not distracted him too much as DRS goes wide open. And yeah, he's coming up to the braking section here, 100 meters down, and he goes to the clips it quite nicely as he runs out wide nicely there as well. Didn't see that from Bazza, but we've seen it from Lewis Craig. 50-meter board, misses that apex, and hopefully that doesn't affect his time too much. He's coming up to the line. What's it going to be? Second place. Oh my goodness, just under a tenth behind Magic Poop Cannon. He's going to be kicking himself there, Dan.
Well, the top three of course, one of them did, but the top three all could have raced in TGP1 yesterday around here and would have been relatively competitive, I've got to say. So we're fantastic effort from the top three. 32.8, 32.9, and a 33.0. It's Chris Johnson also with the good lap time there. But so Wheelnut down in 4th, Wet Lemons down in 5th. I don't think he'll be too happy with that. But the championship leader, Lewis Craig, is starting in 2nd place here. I think he will be satisfied with that massively.
Yeah, and if I remember rightly, Dan, as well, the 2nd place will be on the inside of the track. Dirty side of the track, but I'm not sure how dirty this track will be from the start, but surely as a position, it will be great for him to be able to attack going into the first corner. So just quickly, we'll run through your order here. So we've got Magic Poop Cannon there with a 1:32.8, a fantastic time there, and Lewis Craig just under a tenth behind him in 2nd place there, with Chris Johnson a fantastic 3rd place to start on the grid there, just over 2 tenths behind. Then we've got Daniel P. Wheelnut, Wet Lemons, officially past Asea Sports, M. Chev, Nell Jack and Speed Sully rounding out your top 10. And then we've got Jacko, Mike Noon, Bazzer86, Jack Craig, Blair Grills, Mick Schumacher, Stereogram Kaya, and Mr. John, not setting a time, rounding out your order. So yeah, something that we were discussing just before we went on to the commentary. The medium tyre seems to be a strong tyre around China. It was definitely strong in TGP1 last night, and hopefully it'll be strong here as well. So do you see there being reverse strategy being used around China tonight, Dan, or do you think they're going to stick with the soft tyres for the start?
I imagine we'll likely see a mixture went with, but you don't want to be on the medium tyres for too long because I struggled massively in the closing laps yesterday on the medium tyres, but just all around the tyres here can be a bit of a menace, it must be said. It can be very, very difficult, especially on the soft tyres, which do tend to wear pretty quickly. But I was just thinking, obviously, Poop Cannon didn't go out, did he, for that last quali lap? And we saw Lewis Craig was quite wide, wasn't he, on the final corner? I wonder if he actually lost. I mean, could you have lost a tenth through there potentially? That might have been where the time went there for Lewis Craig in a possible pole position, and that gamble to stay in the pit lane almost backfired massively on Poop Cannon. But the fact that we've got Lewis Craig and Chris Johnson just a couple of tenths behind Poop Cannon, I think we actually will have quite a competitive race here for the win.
Yes, indeed. We'll have a competitive race for the win, and I'm sure we'll have a competitive start as well as drivers are making their final preparations here in China. We've got 1, we've got 2, 3, 4, we've got 5 lights illuminated. Drivers ready, and it's lights out and away they go. And we've got Lewis Craig getting a bad start by the looks of things as Chris Johnson, terrible camera angle here, sorry, as Lewis Craig finally does get it. Chris Johnson's challenging around the outside. A lot of drivers on the medium tyres. We've got Daniel P. Wheelnut coming up the inside here, waiting to pounce if one of the drivers makes a mistake. Chris Johnson, very wide out there, but it all looks to be relatively in order and not too many place changes at the front there, Dan.
Yeah, I've got to say, it was a very clean start, wasn't it? Although we've had a bit of a moment now. It's Joe Sayer. Joe Sayer's gone off and has gone to the very back of the pack. Poupcan maintains his lead. The top 5 are all the same. As Chef actually makes up a few positions. They're up into 5th place.
He did, yeah, and Wet Lemons, sorry to interrupt there, got tagged the back of Daniel P. Wheelnut. I hope he's not got wing damage here, but he seems to be dropping behind as some of the soft tyre runners are attacking him now. Seems to not have turned those tyres on quite right, and it's very, very tight as we're going through this double left-hander. But we've got Magic Poop Cannon 6/10 ahead already, Dan. What have you seen?
Yeah, no, just watching Wet Lemons. He was massively out of shape there. He done well to keep going. But Parsons going for it now as well on the soft tyres. But Wet Lemons just about manages to keep it. But Parsons on those softs, can he maybe get a bit of advantage through this long right-hander? It looks like Wet Lemons has just managed to keep the position for the time being. But yeah, not a great start by Wet Lemons. Chef had an absolute fly his way up 3 positions up into 5th place. Meanwhile, at the front, Poupcan's almost got a second lead already. And we'll see if there's any moves down this at the end of this long straight, at the end of this first lap. Is that Mercedes going to go for a move on Speed Sully? Oh, Speed Sully almost spun the car half spin there, and it's allowed Jacko to go through into 8th.
Yeah, it was an opportunistic move from there. I saw Kaya, the spinner in the background, with a fantastic broadcast camera for once here, as we see Mike Newton get the 3-second time penalty already in this race. I'm not sure what's happened to him, but not a great start for him. But yeah, we've got a second clear from Magic Poop Cannon already out of that DRS zone. So fantastic start for him, but we've got some great battling here for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, Dan.
Yeah, I think Lewis Craig will be quite happy with this at the minute. I know he's got Poupcan ahead of him, but Poupcan's 33 points back in the championship, whereas his 2 closest rivals, Wet Lemons and Daniel P. Wheelnut, are 4th and 6th. And we've got Wet Lemons 8 points behind Lewis Craig. Daniel Price is 10 points behind. So this is good enough, I would say, at the moment for Lewis Craig. But in terms of tyres, the top 6 are all on mediums, interestingly. Then we've got Parser on Jacko in 7th and 8th on the soft tyres. So looks like the top 6 certainly going to be going a long distance before they make the stop.
Yeah, and it's incredible also to see that there isn't a massive field spread that we normally see coming towards the end of lap 2 as well. So plenty of... Oh, we've got M-Shep. M-Shep has spun. They spun on the inside of that long right-hander coming onto the back straight as he joins there in a very dodgy way, it has to be said. But we do have some action happening here.
Yeah, Speed Sully's trying to get back that position on Jacko that he lost at this very corner last time around. Lou's going to be last on the brakes. It looks like Speed Sully's got the position back on those medium tyres, so a nice move there by Speed Sully. And can Neljak also make advantage of that? No, I don't think he can. Oh, is that an Alfa Romeo off in the background? It's Mike Newton. Mike Newton's had a bit of a spin, but he's just about managed to keep it. But yeah, DRS now enabled, and as you say, you are quite close together, the whole field.
Daniel P. Wheelnut right on the back of Chris Johnson here. Seems to have got a mega drive out of the final corner to attack him into the first corner. Maybe his tyres lit up a bit more and a bit more awake and alive than Chris Johnson's. 5/10 is the gap between them. 6/10 now, maybe losing a bit of time, having said that. But yeah, well within the DRS zone in order to be able to attack along that massively back straight. So we should see some good, interesting action coming into that hairpin towards the end of the lap. But yeah, starting to see a bit of field spread now as drivers are dropping out of that 1 second gap. So not sure what's going on here, but Neljak is right on the back of Jacko here and in a prime position to be able to attack him, Dan. Yeah,
and it's up towards the front as well. We've got Chris Johnson here half a second behind Lewis Craig, and of course Lewis Craig is not going to get the DRS here, and he's got 76% DRS. Chris Johnson's got 84%. So this is a good chance, I would say, for Chris Johnson to possibly get into second place. I'm sure we'll not all be watching as well, thinking maybe he could get ahead of the championship leader.
We're on board with Chris Johnson here, coming up the inside. Is he going to go for it? He's going to go for it. He's going to look for it. Lewis Craig, thinking about the championship, gives him plenty of room. Lewis Craig coming back at him, though, round the outside. Chris Johnson not getting the same kind of drive that Lewis Craig did, and has to concede that position, Dan. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, and he's gone real wide there as well in the final corner, and Wheelnut might be able to take advantage of that. I have to say, Chris Johnson was using his DRS, was not using any ERS down the straight there. Lewis Craig was. So if Chris Johnson adds a bit of ERS, he would have easily gone through. But instead, he may well lose the position now as well, because Wheelnut is going to try and get into third place. And if he can get a good exit, he'll do it. But Chris Johnson just manages to squeeze him out. And it forces Wheelnut back down into fourth. And Chris Johnson stays in third. But Chris Johnson easily could have been in second at the end of that lap.
Yeah, some great battling here up at the front, as we love to see it in TGP2. There was some overtakes happening on the back straight further down the field that we did miss, unfortunately, as we stuck on board with the leaders of this race. But I'm sure we'll get to them later on as things start to settle down. But Wet Lemons now joining this fight. Only 3 tenths behind Daniel P. Wheelnut. So this is going to get spicy on the back straight, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, Wet Lemons again having a moment through that corner. It's very easy to do that. But he got away with it. Won't be good for the tyres, though. But I say he's closing in now on this battle. And this could get really, really tasty. We've got the 3 big championship contenders here. Lewis Craig, Wheelnut, Wet Lemons, all battling with Chris Johnson, who's also got an outside chance also in the mix here. And he's going to use the DRS. And Lewis Craig massively defending already. And Chris Johnson, he should just be able to blast through. We think he will, although Lewis Craig will be late on the brakes. Chris Johnson also quite late, but he sends it and he stays into second place. Lewis Craig will try and get a better exit, but well, unless he's going to try and go round outside the final corner, he's going to have to concede that position. So Chris Johnson up into second then, Lewis Craig third, Wheelnut fourth. Wet Lemons could not get past.
But Lewis Craig back here, right on the back of Chris Johnson. He's going to dive up to the inside. That was very close to contact, and he goes on the inside. Oh, he spun! Oh! Lewis Craig has spun! He made contact on the inside of Chris Johnson there. Chris Johnson, I thought, left him plenty of room, but it looks like Lewis Craig was too aggressive. I'm not sure on that. I'd have to see a replay to be confirmed, but my goodness, Lewis Craig's championship has gone from what looked to be very, very solid now to in the dump for the moment, Dan.
And Wet Lemons now as well is trying to get past Wheelnut. So these are the two closest contenders to Lewis Craig, who can both take advantage and can both be leading the championship at the end of this race. And Wet Lemons has made the move on Wheelnut now to get into third. But I've got to say, I didn't have a great angle of that instant, so I'm not going to put my point of view forward. But it sounds as though, as you say, Chris Johnson gave room. Terrible for Lewis Craig's championship. He is in 10th, though. It's not like he's fell right to the very back. But still, what a huge moment that could be. And look at Parser on these soft tyres as well, now gaining on Wheelnut.
Yeah, if it was me, I wouldn't be fighting Parser too much here, and I'd be concentrating on Wet Lemons, as Wet Lemons is 7.5 tenths now ahead of Daniel P. Wheelnut. Seems to have been released after making that move. So Daniel P. Wheelnut really needs to pick up the pace here to keep in with Wet Lemons in order to keep his championship fight alive for that all-important point score that he needs in order to take advantage of Lewis Craig's mistake here. As Daniel P. Wheelnut looks like he's dived up the inside, and my goodness, they've made contact. I'm not sure about that move from Daniel P. Wheelnut. That was a very, very late move, and I don't think Wet Lemons is going to be happy with it. Daniel P. Wheelnut gives it back quite rightly. Good sportsmanship from him there, but needs to be careful and needs to really just take his time here, as that could have been a race-ending move for the pair of them, Dan.
I think Wheelnut maybe outbroke himself there. I don't think he intended to do that. If he did, it was a bit crazy, I've got to say. I don't think he fully intended to go for that move, but I tell you what, it's allowed Chris Johnson to pull right away now, hasn't it? Parser also pitted there as well, so if these two do battle for the next few laps, Parser may well be able to take big advantage here. He's got 5 seconds of clean air ahead of him. But yeah, Wet Lemons stays in third place then, but as you say, lost a huge amount of time now to the top two, because they effectively were sort of wheel locking. They locked wheels through the corner, and they both just couldn't untag from each other and lost a huge amount of time.
And speaking of losing a huge amount of time here, Daniel P. Wheelnut, 7.5 tenths, 8 tenths now behind Wet Lemons, coming up to this DRS detection zone. But we've now got Neljack in the fight, 8 tenths behind Daniel P. Wheelnut. So Daniel P. Wheelnut has to be worried about that Ferrari coming up behind him. Speed Sully as well, coming up behind him too. Possibly playing the team game Ferrari, but we'll see how Daniel P. Wheelnut will attack this. We'll go on board with him. He's using ERS on that straight. He's got the DRS open, and it looks like... What's happened there, Dan?
Baz has spun. Baz has had the spin at that long right-hander.
Baz has had that spin, but Daniel P. Wheelnut not close enough and seeming to save his ERS for maybe this next DRS zone coming into turn one. He's 7 tenths behind, so he's going to really have to pick up the pace here, and maybe he's doing a bit of managing at the moment, but this seems to be the fight that we need to watch out for as Neljak actually goes into the pits now, looking to possibly do the undercut here.
Neljak pitting on medium tyres on lap 7. That's a bold move. I wonder if he's going to put the hard tyres on. Looks like Mike Noon's had a spin. But is Neljak put the hards on? He has put the hards on. So does not want to try soft tyres. But I'd say you do wear incredibly quickly, the soft tyres around here. So he's gone the opposite way. And we'll see how that plays out for Neljak. Interesting decision. And we'll see how it goes for him in the second half of this race.
Indeed, an interesting decision. I went onto the soft tyres yesterday in TGP1 on lap 7, and I can tell you it was definitely not the way to go. As you said, these soft tyres wear out incredibly quickly in China. But it seems Daniel P. Wheelnut in a much better position here through this double left-hander, coming through 5/10 behind Wet Lemon. So it looks like he's on a bit of a push now to take him on along this back straight and possibly into turn 1 if he doesn't get it done there. So we're going to stick on board with Daniel P. Wheelnut as he does come around this long sweeping right-hander that really is catching out the drivers today in TGP2, as Wet Lemons seem to, as well, have a bit of a moment going quite wide out there. Daniel P. Wheelnut really closing in here. Wet Lemon's not getting the best of drives. He's not even using the ERS. He's going to go up the inside. Is he going to get the braking right? He's broke a little bit early. Maybe taking it cautiously compared to what he was doing last time and driving him out wide there. But it seems to be that he's got the move done by the looks of it, but they're going to go almost side by side. Oh, my goodness!
Wet Lemons has got into the back of Wheelnut. I don't think he expected Wheel to be so early on the brakes. And he's going to lose a load of position. Lewis Craig goes back ahead of him. Wet Lemons in third, but I'm sure the stewards are going to be having a look at that.
Oh, dearie me. Wet Lemons again in a controversial moment in TGP2 this season. We've seen plenty of them from him, and the stewards are going to have to see what penalty, I'd imagine, is going to be applied to Wet Lemons, if there's going to be one or not. But Daniel P. Wheelnut will be seething in that car, and he's going to have to now think about what strategy he's going to move on to after this incident, Dan, and I hope this doesn't ruin his championship fight either.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for Lewis Craig. At least he's ahead of one of the closest rivals now that he's got in the championship. But Wet Lemons, who's only 8 points behind, is in third place and is way ahead of him at this stage. It's going to be very close at the end of this race, the championship. But obviously, we won't know for sure what the championship stands are going to be like, because he may very well be a penalty heading Wet Lemons' way at the end of tonight, I would imagine. But I think we're at that stage now of the race, lap 8 here. All these medium tyre runners are really struggling now, I think. But he's as Mick Schumacher and Mr. John are having a bit of a battle, both on the mediums. And I think Mick Schumacher slowing down there to let Mr. John back through. All getting a bit feisty between those guys. So, I think these guys are now all just waiting for the pit stops. Obviously, you don't want to come in too early. But Matthew Pipcan out in front, just managing the race, I suspect, at this point. He's got a 4-second lead, as we've got Stereogram and Mike Noonan both just retired.
Yes, as we're actually on board with Mick Schumacher. Mick Schumacher going up the inside here on Mr. John. Will he pick his braking point correctly? He will. Mr. John, a bit later on the brakes there compared to Mick Schumacher. And is he going to try and come back here? It doesn't look like he's going to get it done. He seems to be using the battery compared to Mick Schumacher, but Mr. John not doing it. So Mick Schumacher and Mr. John actually dive into the pits, Dan.
Yeah, I think Mr. John was going to continue, but thought, no, as Wheelnut's come in on the soft tyres then at the end of lap 8. So he's going to try and go to the end on the soft tyres after just having that moment, of course, on the previous lap with Wet Lemons. Let's see what he can do from there on the soft. That's going to be interesting. He's going to have any traffic. He's going to have the pit lane. He's got Blair Grills coming around turn 1 here. But if he can get the tyres with the temperature, he should be able to just about stay ahead. As Mick Schumacher and Mr. John, I have a feeling this battle is going to resume and is going to be a feature throughout this whole second half of this race.
Indeed. And somebody that I want to check in on here is Neljak. He is on the hard tyres. Not sure what his pace is looking like. I haven't been tracking it very much, but doesn't look like he's making too many inroads into officially passer here in 8th place. So maybe hard tyres not the way to go in China, despite what some people might be thinking. But maybe Daniel P. Wheelnut also pitting early to try and undercut Lewis Craig. Not 100% sure if Lewis Craig's going to be too bothered about that and if he's going to just run his race. But yeah, I'd say an early stop there for Daniel P. Wheelnut for sure. Because Magic Poop is actually in the pits now.
Yeah, Poop Cannon coming to the pit lane. I tell you what, if there was gravel there at that pit lane entry as he was in 2007, Poop Cannon would have ended
and Wet Lemons in as well.
As Wet Lemons also falls in, so Chris Johnson stays out as Speed Sully also coming in then. Speed Sully is 6th.
M-Shep in as well.
he's a fair way off, but he needs some good results if he wants to be in contention. And it's not really going too well for him in this race. So let's see then. Where's Wheelock going to come out then? Well, where's Wheelock going to filter in once these guys have made their stops? Out comes Wet Lemons. Does he? He's glitched on my screen here. Wet Lemons is only coming out now.
No, I wonder if he had to be held up there, because Daniel P. Wheelnut coming down the back straight. This could be close coming out of the pit lane here. Daniel P. Wheelnut can't see it because of the camera angle. Yeah, sorry about that. Terrible camera angle. I thought it'd be a bit wider coming through there, but Wet Lemon seems to still be ahead of him here, and that undercut seems to have been quite powerful to catch up to the back of him. But he has got, what is it, 2 lap older tyres, so that'll be interesting coming the end of the race.
He changed front wing. Wet Lemons changes front wing. Obviously, when he had that hit with Wheelnut, I didn't see any damage, but obviously there was damage, and he has had to change his front wing, and that is why the pit stop took so long for Wet Lemons then. So he's way down now, and he's effectively back where he was, battling once again with Wheelnut. So whether he will still get a penalty, because I suppose he could argue, well, I have to change my front wings, I've effectively saved my penalty, but either stewards may not agree with that point of view. But it means we have this battle going right again, and Speed Sully has actually jumped Wet Lemons and Wheelnut now as a result.
Indeed, but look at this. We've got a Mercedes ahead of Wet Lemons and a Mercedes in Daniel P. Wheelnut behind him. Wet Lemons seems to be dispatching Jacko here, but my God, it is close. Wet Lemons really being squeezed there as Jacko has got the DRS as well. And that will be some team games there to make sure that Wet Lemons can stay behind. But Wet Lemons is going to cut back now. Will he get the better drive on those soft tyres? Doesn't look like he does, as Jacko now defending as hard as he can. Oh my goodness, close again. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, we're gonna have Lewis Craig filtering in back here as well. This is gonna be absolutely incredible, as Jacko is still trying to defend from Wet Lemons as Lewis Craig comes onto pit lane just ahead of the ball. This is going to be fun.
Oh, there's been contact! Oh! There's been contact between Wet Lemons and Jacko as Jacko was up the inside in understeering. Wet Lemons trying to stick around the outside, and that has not worked out for him. But Wet Lemons now behind Jacko and Daniel P. Wheelnut. Will Jacko play the team game here and allow Daniel P. Wheelnut through? Sorry, Speed Sully.
Trying to get the move done on Lewis Craig, who's just come out the pit lane, going to get those tyres up to temperature. Speed Sully is going to jump Lewis Craig now as well. Well, this is incredible stuff. Of course, this is Jacko. Jacko's already pitted. Jacko is on the medium tyre, so this is all 4 position for Jacko. And of course, he wanted to make sure that Wet Lemons did not get through. Will he let Wheelnut through, I wonder? He'll have to try and hold Wet Lemons up and not let him through as well. This is incredible stuff from all the championship contenders, all trying to fight mid-pack, and it's chaos.
It is, and Wet Lemons 2 tenths behind Daniel P. Wheelnut coming over the DRS detection line. We've got Lewis Craig all over the back of Speed Sully as well. Jacko seems to be the gap here and will help his teammates try and keep that position in front of Wet Lemons, as we've got a great on-board shot there from Speed Sully, but it looks to be that Daniel P. Wheelnut has pulled out, going past his teammate now, Jacko. Wet Lemons is getting the slipstream here. What's going to happen here? This is going to look as Wet Lemons, he's going to make a look here. He's going to have to wait as Daniel P. Wheelnut. Oh my goodness, Jacko going around the outside. What's going on here? Are they trying to compete here as teammates? Jacko's not in the title fight run, and I would imagine he's going to have to yield that. He does yield that, and then Wet Lemons goes around the outside, coming to the final corner, and they've all got DRS. This isn't over yet, Dan.
Yeah, now Jacko's trying to get straight back ahead. He does not want to be done like that. And he gets the position back. Wet Lemons taking way too much curve there at turn 1. And he's had to calm down a little bit and back off. What an incredible laugh that was. And again, Wet Lemons, is he going to try and go around the outside? He's trying to go for the inside, outside. Now he's trying to go on the inside. There's going to be side by side. He's got those grippier tyres, remember. Those softer tyres. Jacko's some 5 laps on the mediums. They're almost side by side here into the braking zone. Will Jacko keep the position? Yes, he will, although Wet Lemons tries and does the switcheroo and gets the move done.
Yeah, Jacko went too deep into that corner by the looks of things, but Jacko was trying to cover the inside, but just didn't have the drive on those medium tyres. But Jacko is not out of this yet. 5 tenths still, 6 tenths even. Maybe he is. Maybe he's dropping like a fly now that Wet Lemons has gotten past him. And hopefully he can stay within the DRS train. Doesn't look like he's going to be come this DRS detection zone, but Daniel P. Wheelnut now 7 tenths behind Lewis Craig. Lewis Craig 3.5 tenths behind Speed Sully. Speed Sully really going to have to get a move on here to keep Lewis Craig behind, but it doesn't look likely, as we're going to go on board with Lewis Craig, as Speed Sully really using most of the track there, trying to break the DRS train and break that slipstream for him. Here comes Lewis Craig. Lewis Craig, he's going to go up to the inside, is he? Yeah, he's going up to the inside. Speed Sully's going to try and stick it round the outside. Is he going to do the switcheroo? Speed Sully doesn't have the legs in order to fight that. Daniel P. Wheelnut also right behind him, Dan.
Yeah, so Speed Sully, is he going to start to drop back now? Wonder, but he's still had a great race as he's almost defending already. Is Speed Sully very early on, and is he effectively? Well, it's not he's not just conceding a position there, but it almost looked like he was. Although Wheelnut's gone massively wide, and actually Speed Sully might be able to get back through, but now he doesn't. So I have to say, it's very strange that by Speed Sully because I don't know if he was letting him through there or not. But Speed Sully down to 7th now. Wet Lemons is going to have to try and get the job done to prevent Wheelnut from pulling away. But let's see if Wet Lemons goes for it this corner. No, he doesn't. Let's just give a very quick mention, by the way, to Neljak on those hard tyres. Obviously, while all these guys have been battling, it's allowed him to build a gap on those hard tyres. And he's, there's 2 laps to go. Those soft tyres, like I say, they do go very quickly. Lewis Craig may not. I don't think he's going to be able to pull 2 seconds in the next lap and a half. So it's just been a fantastic result, quietly, on the totally different strategy for Neljak.
It is, but something interesting to see here is that Lewis Craig's gap is coming down gradually, but not enough to get the position there. Daniel P. Wheelnut 1.5 seconds behind Lewis Craig. Speed Sully 0.6 behind, and Wet Lemons right on the back of Speed Sully on this back straight. DRS is going to go open here. Speed Sully's got to get the DRS as well, but who's got the lower downforce on their setup? It looks like it's Speed Sully. Maybe he's using a bit of battery. Wet Lemons goes round the outside. Will he be able to get the move done on Speed Sully? Speed Sully up the inside there, but he's not got the better drive, as it's actually Wet Lemons now. Oh my goodness, almost touching. Oh, it's very, very tight here, and oh my goodness, Wet Lemons almost there, making contact. Speed Sully still has the DRS and is going to be able to defend this here. And this is fantastic news for Daniel P. Wheelnut, and Wet Lemons trying to go around the outside. Oh, it's very, very tight and almost.
M-Shep hit the back of Wet Lemons there. Wet Lemons had to save the car. This is going to go to the very final corner because seemingly Wet Lemons is up to plenty of action at that final corner today. And it's just going to go right down to the
and then dive bomb from M-Shep, and he's hit Speed Sully, and he's hit Wet Lemons. What has happened here? Oh my goodness, M-Shep, oh my dear.
Well, it looked like Wet Lemons was going for the send, and then M-Shep suddenly came out of nowhere and went for it, and I think he's effectively just ended Speed Sully's title hopes there, the slim hopes he had, but I think they're pretty much gone after that. That was such a shame there by M-Shep, but well, what an absolutely frantic race this has been. This has been fantastic.
Wow. I'm almost out of breath already, and we're early in the first race. As M-Shep, I'm not sure what he was doing there, maybe outbroke himself, maybe had too much slipstream. And oh my goodness, and Wet Lemons is round! Wet Lemons has spun! Wet Lemons has spun, and he's going to lose all these places, and Speed Sully now has taken the position back. Wet Lemons has gone from, on the final lap, down in 11th place.
Poof Cannon's won, meanwhile. Poof Cannon's won. He'll have a great time watching the highlights. But meanwhile, Wet Lemons is still in 11th. He's recovered, but Say Sports is going to gain here, is he now? I don't think he's going to close in that much. But that final lap on those soft tyres, very difficult as Shep goes massively wide the final corner and gets a penalty at the very end of the race and loses the position to Jacko as a result. What a frantic race that was. As Wet Lemons, is he going to finish in 11th? I think he is going to finish in 11th. And wow, he may still have a penalty to come as well after obviously the incident. As Mick Schumacher, Salesforce out of fuel. Salesforce out of fuel at the line. Mr. John 12th, Salesforce 13th. That was crazy. Behind the Magic Poop Cannon Grand Prix, that was crazy.
Wow. Sorry we missed the leader coming across the line there, but it'd have been hindsight. Wouldn't have liked us if we'd missed Wet Lemons losing those positions right at the end. He is going to be kicking himself as his title fight now becomes even harder, and I don't know if he's now going to be out of the title fight with that potential penalty coming his way as well. After this race,
I'm going to try and work out the points now, but I've got to say this may take some time because I've got to factor in Poop Cannon and Chris Johnson as well, who are now I think both right in it after these results as well. So you may have to bear with me, but I'll try and work it out now.
No problem there, but Kaya finally coming across the line here in 17th to finish off the Chinese Grand Prix standings and runnings, as our driver of the day is Neljak. That fantastic drive from him. Yeah, well deserved. On that hard tyre, we didn't think it was going to work for him strategy-wise, but with everybody battling behind him, and spinning off and what have you. It's worked out for him. But here's the man of the moment, really. It's Magic Poop Cannon. He takes a fantastic dominant win in China. Was on the pace all throughout qualifying and also in the race as well. Didn't really break a sweat as he takes that trophy, a well-deserved trophy for him. Williams will be happy with that performance, and yeah, a fantastic end to a fantastic race, really there, Dan, with the champagne spraying.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to try and work out these points as we see these podium celebrations, and we begin to see the results on the screen. But really interested to see what it's going to look like now as it closes up even further with 3 races to go now.
Yep, 3 races to go. But yeah, we'll run through your order anyway. So Magic Poop Cannon taking that dominant win in China with Chris Johnson, a fantastic second place for him, and an officially Carter rounding out the podium. Some great driving there from the top 4 drivers with Neljak on those hard tyres, taking advantage of all of the title fight drivers behind him, battling like crazy. Lewis Craig, good recovery drive from him despite spinning in 5th place, and Daniel P. Wheelnut in 6th. With Jacko in 7th, his teammate helping him out there. M. Shep in 8th. I wonder if penalties going to be coming his way just after that event with Speed Sully, but we'll see. Speed Sully in 9th there with Blair Grills rounding out our top 10. Wet Lemons with that spin in 11th place. Mr. John in 12th. Say Sports in 13th. Bazzer in 14th. Mick Schumacher in 15th. Jack Craig in 16th. Kyer in 17th. Mike Newton in 18th. And Stereogram rounding out our order in 19th place. But yeah, we'll give Dan some time to work out the points and see where we're at. But yeah, some fantastic racing. We're going to be moving on to Imola now, a completely different track from China, much faster flowing through the corners, and really it's like qualifying throughout the whole race as you try to eke that little bit of performance out to be able to get onto the main straight, with the kinks in it in order to get the DRS and try and make a move into turn 2, technically, if you go by that kink there. So yeah.
I think I've worked out, so these are the top 5 then right now after that race. We've got Lewis Craig, he got 10 points in that race, didn't he, ever finishing 5th, so he's on 223 points. Wet Lemons obviously finished 11th, only gets 4 points as a result of that, and he is on, as a result now, 209 points. Wheelnut, who got 6th place, didn't he, so he gets 9 points, so he is on 212. So Lewis Craig 223, Wheelnut 212, Wet Lemons 209. Badger Cube Cannon won the race and got fastest lap, so he's on 206. And then Chris Johnson, probably the outsider, but still winning with a chance, on 185 points. So we've got Lewis Craig 223, Wheelnut 212, Lemon 209, Kine 206. So it's very, very close. But Lewis Craig does have an 11 point, so he's actually extended his lead despite all the craziness that happened in that race, because of course he had to spin, didn't he, early on, but he managed to recover, whereas the others got involved in instants.
Indeed. This is obviously pending as well any steward's decisions from those instants within China. So Wet Lemons might lose some points here, depending on how the stewards rule, whether in favour of his actions or not. But yeah, very, very close between 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the title fight. Lewis Craig will be happy with that 11-point buffer between him and Daniel P. Wheelnut. But we do go to Imola now, renowned for wet quality as it was in TGB1. Will we see any wet running here in TGB2 tonight? And it looks a bit overcast there, Dan. Not sure what the official weather forecast is going to look like. Hopefully we get something in our ears soon. But yeah, could all be to play for here with changeable conditions.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to possibly rain, doesn't it? Maybe towards the end of the session, perhaps, or something. But let's say if we get cars all flying out now, then I guess we know for sure that it's going to be that possibly rains on the way as the first car heads out onto the track. I think it's it's not part, it's Kaya. First car out on the track. It's very long pit lane here in Imola.
Indeed, Kaya traditionally first out on track in TGB2 normally. So interesting to see who we're going to go on board with. I think I'm actually going to follow Mike Noon around for this reconnaissance lap on his outlap here. See how the drivers are going to be generally warming up their tyres, learning the surfaces. Mike Noon already nearly goes for a spin out of that corner. So Mike Noon struggling maybe with a bit of tyre temperature issues there, but yeah, it's interesting to see as we've got M Shep out as well now, Speed Sully out as well, Magic Poop Cannon too. See if he can carry that dominant pace from China into Imola here. And Mick Schumacher and also Blair Grills out on track, Dan. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's see. We'll stick with Mike Noon, I think. Coming through, I think it's Aqua Minerale. I'm terrible with corner names in general, but yeah. What will the drivers need to do here to ensure they get the best run for their flying lap?
Well, obviously you want to just make sure that you got the tyres all up to temperature, of course, and you certainly do not want to be getting any traffic around the track like this. But qualifying is so important, isn't it, around here? Because we know it is difficult to overtake around here. It's just has not been an ideal start for the lap by Mike Jones, a bit wide there through several of the corners towards the end of the lap.
Indeed, so I'll try and talk you through this lap here. Sorry, I'm not going to get the corner names right, but you're going to be looking for
I'll do it. I don't know the corner names. So
okay, you go for it, Dan.
Tam Rello's your game then. As Mike Noon now gets headed ready, you have to charge straight into the Villeneuve chicane here, and then straight onto the brakes. Oh, he's ran out wide onto the gravel and has lost a bit of time there now as he heads through into the Tosa hairpin. These are some of the best corner names in the world, which is why I know them all, to be honest. But anyway, he's got to get ready now to just fling the car into Piratella, and he's done a bit too much flinging there, and he's gone way off the track again. This has not been an ideal lap. Through back for Minerale now. Crazy corner, but incredibly satisfying if you get it right, and now you have to get ready to prepare for the Variante Alta, and most importantly, these unbelievable sausage curbs, and he almost gets out of shape. Almost was a Charles Leclerc there, Mike Noon, but he gets away with it as he now gets ready to come down this hill, breaking downhill now for the first Ravazza, where you do want to get the inside curb, which is what he's done, and a bit of understeer, but you kind of want to avoid the curb there, because, well, that's what happens if you hit the curb, you go out wide, and Mike Noon's going to cross the line. Got a feeling this won't be the pole lap, but it is the quickest lap for the time being. It's not now. Speed Sully's beat it on a 1:18.0.
Yeah, so Mike Noon there taking us for possibly not how to take the lap at Imola. Thank you for going through that with us, Dan. As Speed Sully does go with a 1:18. But I mean, Magic Poop Cannon a 1:16.8. So Speed Sully possibly there doing a banker lap more likely, with Blair Grills going a 1:17.4. So maybe Speed Sully, I noticed he finished his lap very soon after Mike Noon. So maybe he got the traffic there from Mike Noon's lap. So possibly not a representative time there for Speed Sully, but we'll have to see as the session progresses. And yeah, I don't know who's on a lap at the moment. Lewis Craig possibly on a lap at the moment, coming through the final corner. Not sure how his lap's been throughout here, but he's going to come across the line now with the DRS wide open. What's his time going to be? It's pole. It's a 1:16.820. 8 thousandths quicker than Magic Poop Cannon. So this is going to really hot up throughout the session, isn't it, Dan?
It is indeed, and we don't really have a sort of representative of lap time to look at in terms of TGP1, because obviously it was a wet quali session here yesterday. I could look at last season, I suppose, but that was in the very early stages of the game when they raced at Imola last season, so it's probably not really worth looking at that. So we'll see. We don't really know how it's going to go, and obviously Poop Cannon was so quick yesterday in TGP1 quali around China, so we don't know what it's like in the dry around Imola, but it looks like it's certainly going to be much closer. That's a very good first lap as well there, obviously, for Lewis Craig. Let's see what Wet Lemons is up to. Wet Lemons, did he maybe invalidate his first? Oh, no, sorry, he didn't. He's on the 1:17.9 first lap there. And in fact, I don't think he's pushing on this lap. No, he's not. He's flashing at the back of his car, so he's not pushing on this lap then. And I think we've got the first runs pretty much done, actually, haven't they, at this stage?
Indeed, as I did hear in my ears just previous to that we've got dry running throughout qualifying and the race. So we're not going to see any weather here throw up any mixers into the orders or anything untoward to that. But anyway, Daniel P. Wheelnuts in fourth place there with a 1:17.5. Not far behind Blair Grills, but pretty far behind Magic Poop Cannon, it has to be said, at this stage of qualifying. So maybe he did a banker lap, maybe he didn't. We're not 100% sure. We'll have to see as that progresses. But yeah, first run's over at the moment. And something that's come to light recently is what tyre choices some of the drivers are making before the session. You can obviously now go softer, balanced, or harder, and that will affect the tyres that you can use in the race as well. So, Dan, what would you imagine that some of the drivers are doing here in Imola in terms of their tyre choices at the start of the round?
Well, I personally, I always just go for softer because that's the way I believe it should be. And I don't really know why they changed it mid-game to introduce the rule to add it on, because you can't actually do that in F1 anymore anyway, can you? But yeah, so I will go for softer and just do 3 runs on the soft tyres. But sometimes if you go for balance, it does allow you to do a run on the mediums, I believe, and 2 runs on the soft tyres. But that's not real. Just don't really think it's worth it, to be honest. But obviously, we've got in Imola in F1 this season. We've got this pathetic new rule, haven't we, that they're going to attempt to trial, where they're going to do Q1 on hard tyres, Q2 on mediums, Q3 on soft. So maybe you should have done that. Maybe you should have done the first runs on hards, and then put the mediums on, and then put the soft tyres on for the final run. Oh, Mike Noon! Oh wow, I think he was gearing up to go for the lap there, and he's might have to gear up to come in the pit lane now. It's just there on your right, and he's got no front wing. And yeah, he's going to be heading back into the pit lane then, as I think there's some more drivers starting to come out and out for their second run.
Yeah, so Speed Sully starting a run here. So we're just going to stay on the broadcast cam with him. But we've had some news in from the stewards from China. Both M-Shep and Sean handed 2 place drops in China for the incidents on the final lap. Sean moved dangerously late, and Matt seemed to be carrying too much speed and would have hit Sully regardless. So both received 2 points on their license. And the updated order here is P8 is Sully, P9 Blair Grills, M-Shep in P10 down 2 from the actual finishing positions, John in P11, Joe in P12, and Wet Lemons P13 down 2 as well. So Wet Lemons loses 2 points, now scoring only 2 points from that race. And yeah, so you might want to see the updated scoring there.
2-2-3 for Lewis Craig, 2-1-2 for Wheelnut. Well Evans now on 207, Poopcan on 206. So it hasn't changed things dramatically, but obviously those 2 points, I mean, who knows how crucial those 2 points could be come the checker flag in Silverstone next week. So yeah, Poopcan now just 1 point behind third place in the championship, and considering he was like, 33 points back, the championship leader coming into tonight. That's I think he'll be very happy with that indeed, especially if he can get a good result here in Imola as well.
Yes, indeed. So the man that we've just been talking about there, Wet Lemons, is coming out for his, I believe, second run. So we're going to go on board with him and see what he can do here, as Jacko sets the fastest lap time here with a 1:16.789. Fantastic lap there from Jacko. But yeah, we're going to stick on board here with Wet Lemons coming through this first sector here. It looks nice and neat and tidy, as he's going to come across the Sector 1 line soon, and we're going to see what his time's going to be, as that Aston Martin in front is really not going to help him. He's 4/10 up on his previous best there, Dan.
Yeah, I was really hoping that Aston maybe would have moved over a bit earlier on down there before he hit the Villeneuve chicane, but instead he didn't. He's a 10th down, Wet Lemons, on Jacko's first sector. I'm not sure what this is going to be like once we see the second sector. As we see in Takamine, I think he's a bit too deep there in the second part of the SEs, and that hasn't totally destroyed the lap, but it certainly lost him a lot of time. And he's still off by nearly 2/10 on his previous lap. But again, very slidey, taking a lot of inside curb. I tended to take more of the second part of the chicane of the curb. That's certainly at least what worked for me anyway, as we see Wet Lemons come through the final Ravazza here to fly down the back straight, and as you say, he can surely go quicker because he lost the time in Aqua Minerale, and he goes only up into 8th place and immediately goes back down to 9th because that Speed Sully just behind him went up into 7th.
Indeed, Speed Sully yet again starting close behind a competitor on a lap, and I don't know if this is affecting him with dirty air through his qualifying. It wouldn't be something I'd be doing for my qualifying runs, but it seems to be working for him in his own way. But Jacko, got to speak about this with the 1:16.7, a fantastic lap time from him. to jump right to the top of the field ahead of Lewis Craig. Lewis Craig is on a run at the moment. Not sure what his lap time's looking. Very, very tidy through Aqua Minerale. Much better than Wet Lemons' run that we were on board with just before. So we'll see what his sector 2 time is. He's almost 2/10 up on his previous. He takes lots of curb on the inside on the first corner there, but doesn't seem to be too slidey. So looking good for Lewis Craig here as he's coming down to the first Ravazza. I'm starting to learn the names here, Dan. First Ravazza here. Make sure you don't take too much curb here because you could invalidate. Don't hit those inside sausage curbs. He goes wide out there, but he seems to have pulled it off. Coming up to the DRS line. DRS wide open. Stay tight to the right-hand side. And he takes pole position provisionally for the moment with a 1:16.75, Dan.
Well, here's something interesting. Lewis Craig, in that first sector of that lap that he just set, was 4/10 slower than Jacko's first sector. So that makes me wonder, maybe is Jacko possibly running a bit less downforce, because obviously you can, down that very long start-finish straight, which isn't really straight, but you know what I mean. And then you obviously get a little bit of a blast as well, don't you, before the Villeneuve chicane, possibly. Although actually saying that, to be fair, the end of the lap as well is also quite, there's a bit of a straight before you hit the 2 Ravazzas. So maybe not. Maybe Jacko's just got that first sector absolutely nailed, especially on the curbs. You do not want to be hitting the sausage curbs through there. It's very difficult to try and sort of perfect your way through there. Maybe Jacko's just got that absolutely nailed, and who knows, maybe Jacko then messed up a little bit on his towards the end of the lap. Maybe he can go even quicker. But just interesting that Lewis Craig 4/10 down after the first sector and still getting pole.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. And if it was me, I'd be going for a slightly less downforce setup, considering track position is everything. If I can nail it in qualifying and keep that track position through most of the lap and then be able to attack on that long straight, then that's what I'd be doing. So maybe Jacko thinking in that way for qualifying. We're in the last 5 minutes of qualifying here as drivers now, mostly in the pits, waiting to do their final runs, maybe using a third set of tyres, maybe using a second set of tyres. But Magic Poop Cannon here has been on an outlap. Great camera angle there coming into the first Ravazza. And let's see how Magic Poop Cannon attacks this lap and whether he can attack for pole position, Dan.
Yeah, we'll find out then as these final runs are incoming. And of course, if Jacko does get up there, up towards the front of the grid, and Wet Lemons manages to get a decent lap together and also up there towards the front, we know what happened with those two in the previous race, and you've had a few coming together earlier on in the season as well, so that could get very, very, very tasty indeed if we see those two near each other at all during this race. And we know that Jacko certainly is doing everything he can to help Wheelnut out in this championship.
Indeed. So Magic Poop Cannon, just under a tenth faster than his previous best. So he could be challenging here for pole position as it stands at the moment, coming through. That looked...
How did he not invalidate?
It was very, very wide, but as he comes through Aqua Minerale, it's much tidier by the looks of things compared to where it was going through that left-hander. I can't remember the name of it. I'm still learning, Dan. But as we come up to the Perialta, I'm going to go with...
The Variante Alta.
Variante Alta, sorry, guys. He seems to be nice and tidy. So what's his I didn't see his sector 2 time there, unfortunately.
He was 2/10 up.
2/10 up, so he's definitely challenging for pole position as it stands at the moment. Lewis Craig still in the pits, but he's going to be coming out for his final run. He's got a little bit of traffic here, maybe a bit of a tow that'll help him out coming across the line. DRS is going to go open, stay right to get the fastest time, and he takes pole position with a 1:16.5. 2/10 by the looks of things quicker than Lewis Craig, and seems to be weaving. Not 100% sure why he's weaving.
I don't know if he's thanking his teammate, maybe, because it was a teammate who gave him that bit of tow there at the end. Jacko is 2.5 tenths down in this first set. Oh, actually, he must have made a mistake because he's actually backing off now, so we assume he's going to try and go again and recharge the battery. So yeah, Poop Cannon, that was a good lap by Poop Cannon. He had to almost back off the throttle though a little bit at the final corner. He so nearly went into the gravel. But then I imagine possibly would have helped a little bit with that tow as well at the very end of the lap. So how long have we got left? I can't see because of that stupid. After 2.5 minutes left in the session. So Lewis Craig is just coming out of the pit lane now then. Poop Cannon, you can't pit and then get another set of tyres on. So I assume he's just going to do a slower lap and then go again. Maybe not entirely ideal what he wants at this stage. Lewis Craig might be... all set fair on a nice fresh set of tyres here to go for it with just one single run at the end of the session. But is Jacko going to try and go again? I think he's recharged the battery. Yeah, I think he's going again, Jacko. So let's see what he can do this time around. And let's just Wet Lemon's actually just a bit ahead. So let's watch Wet Lemons because he is fighting for the championship, and we need to see if he can get a lap in because he seriously needs to.
I was just on board with Speed Sully there. He was 4 tenths up on his previous best, so he'll be interesting to see where he'll come out. Maybe he can get onto the podium, starting podium, as Wet Lemons, believe, has set the fastest first sector, Dan.
Yeah, as Speed Sully goes fourth, and actually Wheelnut is actually just ahead of Wet Lemons, so it's actually probably should watch Wheelnut and then switch to Wet Lemons, then switch to Jacko, because Wheelnut is 4 tenths up in the second sector. He needs to get a good lap in here. Even that lap would only really get him midfield. Can he get onto the front 2 rows perhaps as he comes down now into the first Ravata, late braking downhill here. Clip that curb, he's done that. And then you don't want to hit too much curb here, but that's about decent enough, I suppose. Wheelnut's going to cross the line. He's going to open the DRS. Where will he improve to? He goes up into 6th place, so not a massive improvement. Wet Lemons is just behind. Let's see where he can go.
Wet Lemons, DRS open, comes across the line. Pole position for Wet Lemons, a 116.4. And really, the only person here that we feel could possibly challenge him is a Jacko's now a 116.5. So good lap from him. But Lewis Craig, the man to be watching here, as he's just under 2 tenths improved on his previous best through the first sector. So he's looking like he could challenge for pole position at the moment, Dan.
Yeah, it was a 24.6 first sector. Lewis Craig 2 tenths down on Wet Lemons. But if he's running quite a lot more downforce, Lewis Craig, it should work for him in this second sector. And let's see, he's down. He's down, Lewis Craig. This isn't going well for the championship leader then. Buchanan is not going to be able to come back out and set another lap, so he's going to be third. Let's see if Lewis Craig can at least get ahead of Buchanan. He's going to have to improve quite a bit, I've got to say, in these final couple of corners. I'll be amazed if it happens. Let's see if he can get a good run here for the second Ravata and get on the power early enough and open the DRS and cross the line. He will go. He does improve his time, but it is not enough to get past Buchanan.
Interesting to see there. We've got Speed Sully in the pit lane. Chris Johnson, 3 tenths down on his previous best at the moment, and he's invalidated as well, so he's out. Daniel P. Villeneuve going very slow. M. Shep coming into the pits now. Neil Jack's up, finished his. Jack Craig, 4 tenths up on his previous best, so he's on a lap. Let's see what he can do as he comes down towards the first Ravata. See how he takes it coming through here. Takes the curve quite nicely. Hopefully that's not traffic in front of him that's going to really hold him off as the Mercedes goes on to the left-hand side. He's got a good run coming out of the final corner. What's this time going to be? It's 5th place. Jack Craig ahead of Speed Sully at 116.8. So good lap from Jack Craig there.
And crucially, that knocks Wheelnut down into 8th place now. Wheelnut is going into this race second in the championship on 212 points after the race in China. 11 points behind Lewis Craig. The closest contender is going to be down in 8th. But Lewis Craig still only in 4th as somebody else crossed the line there? No?
Yeah, Mike Noon just crossed the line to take 11th place with 117.3. So that is our qualifying over as Bazza has invalidated. So yeah, a good session there for Wet Lemons.
We've got the front row that I think everybody was possibly hoping to see after what happened in China. We have Jacko and Wet Lemons on the front row, and if Jacko gets a good start, you can absolutely guarantee that he is going to be trying to go for that lead.
Indeed, so we're just going to go through your order here with Wet Lemons taking that pole position with a 116.4. Jacko, a fantastic performance there with a 116.5, only a 10th behind Wet Lemons, and Magic Poop Cannon in 3rd place. Only half a tenth behind Jacko to round out the podium start, with Lewis Craig in 4th place and Jack Craig in 5th and Speed Sully in 6th, Chris Johnson in 7th. Daniel P. Wheelnut was hoping for a better qualifying performance there in 8th position, but maybe he can make up some places in the race, with M. Shep in 9th and Nell Jack rounding out your top 10, with Mike Newton in 11th, Blair Grills in 12th, officially Passer in 13th, Sayer Sports in 14th, Bazza in 15th, Kaya in 16th, Mr. John in 17th, Mick Schumacher in 18th, and we've got Kaya, Mr. John, and Mick Schumacher not setting times here in qualifying. So,
Wheelnut, he really needs Jacko to play the team game here because he's got the other three championship contenders are all in the top four, and then you got Wheelnut down in eighth. Chris Johnson, who's the outsider as well, I suppose, in the championship, there in seventh. But he needs Jacko really to take the lead here, doesn't he, early on in this race?
He does, and that's something that I wanted to get onto, is that you start in Imola, I think, is everything when it comes to the first lap, because there is a massively long run down to the first corner, and you can place your car nicely where you want it if you've got your better start as well, and you don't want to be in that gaggle of cars where Daniel P. Wilnot probably is going to be, as it can get very messy and on the first lap. So hopefully the drivers keep it nice and clean here through the first set of corners, and our title fight runners can get through nice and cleanly so we can see some good racing as well. But then again, it's TGP2, consistency is everything, and we'll see how it all pans out. As I mentioned before, it's dry running here in the race, nice and sunny in Imola, in the Emilia-Romagna region, as the drivers are making their final preparations. We'll see if the drivers are going to be on the medium tyres, similar to China. Medium tyres were very strong here yesterday in TGP1, so I wonder if the drivers have got some insight on that and will start on the medium tyres themselves. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, Dan.
Yeah, we're having a quick look here at the race director, and it looks as though the front two, unless they make a late change, are both going to be on softs, Buchanan on the mediums.
Interesting to see. So maybe getting the better run here, but we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 lights illuminated. And it's lights out and away we go. And it looks like, well, Evans has got a fantastic start. And Jacko's got an awful start there. Lewis Craig jumping in here. And it all very, very sporadic throughout the field. So can we get it nice and cleanly into turn one? Going into turn one, it looks like we've got some nice clean racing there, and drivers getting a little bit out of shape out the back there, but it looks relatively okay. We've got a yellow flag there for Mick Schumacher, and for Daniel P. Whelan seems to have lost a place, but luckily not spun round, but relatively clean there. An awful start for Jacko there, Dan.
Shocker, absolute shocker for Jacko, just when he needs the really good start. But well, Evans was unbelievable. It was an absolute rocket off the line, and he's got the lead. Lewis Craig also made up some decent positions as well. Surely Lewis Craig would have been taking it quite cautiously, I thought, considering where he is in the championship, but he went for it as well, and he is in second place. Buchanan in third, and well, Evans a bit wide. Aquaminerali, he struggled through there, doesn't he? We've seen it in qualifying. If Lewis Craig's going to try and have a go into the chicane, it would be a major risk, and he decides not to. But well, Evans, he will be loving this. He needs to pull away though, because Lewis Craig, he's already got an 11-point lead in the championship. If he wins this, he will surely be the huge favourite going into next week.
Indeed he will, as that looks like Lewis Craig running a lot more downforce than Wet Lemons here. He's getting a fantastic drive out of the last corner, but maybe we'll start to lose some time here along the back straight, as Wet Lemons does take that fastest lap of the race, as you do on the first lap. But yeah, dropping here now, 2/10 he's dropped already along that back straight, so it looks like he is. So we've got yellow flag.
Jacko trying to outspeed Sully, and he went to the outside, tried the inside, and then had to go across the grass, and it didn't work for him at all. And will he still try and have a go to the Villeneuve chicane? I think he is, isn't he? He's definitely going to have a go on the inside. That did the not touch there. And Jack Craig gets closer and closer, but he gets a bit on the gravel, Jack Craig. And actually, will this open a chance for Chris Johnson? No, it does not. So we're back as we were then, and no position changes incredibly somehow. Wet Lemons still ahead by half a second. Wet Lemons, some real understeer there going into Piratella. And let's see if he gets through Aquaminerali this time round, because this second part is where he was really struggling. That's a lot better, and he can hold on to his lead for the time being. And DRS enabled on the next lap.
Indeed, as Lewis Craig does really, really reel him in through this middle sector.
Oh, again, Jacko is just way too late on the brakes, and he's got into the back of Speed Sully. Just way too late. And Speed Sully is going to lose a huge amount of position. Jacko's got a penalty for that as well. And I mean, I don't know what happened there, but he was just miles too late on the brakes there. That's a shame there for Jacko after such a good qualifying for him. But we'll see what he can do in the rest of this race.
Indeed, it's Lewis Craig now 9.5 tenths behind Wet Lemons. I wonder if Wet Lemons has been on the battery trying to keep him out of that DRS zone, as DRS has been activated. And Daniel P. Wheelnut has lost a place to officially passing here. Officially passing around the outside.
Massive accident with M. Shepard. Neljak, unbelievably, Neljak managed to avoid the barrier there. It was like a George Russell Bottas moment there. But Neljak literally drifted across the grass and somehow did not hit the wall. He's still in the race, and he's still in ninth place and everything. It's almost like nothing happened. But he definitely did.
Yeah, well, speed solely down in 11th there after that accident before, so maybe that's why we're getting a bit confused with the Ferraris. But yeah, Daniel P. Wheelnut, 10th place, not seem to be making any inroads here on Neljak, so this is going to be detrimental to his title fight. But Chris Johnson on the back of Jack Craig here, really going to be challenging him with this DRS zone coming up. So this will be interesting, and this hasn't settled at all, Dan.
No, it hasn't. So here we go then. 6 tenths behind Lewis Craig. Is this going to be the moment that he's going to try and go for it? They're on the soft tyres. Buchanan third on the mediums, remember, so it may, if these two battle, Buchanan could come back into this as Well Emmons is on the ERS, Lewis Craig straight behind on the DRS, not on the ERS, and they've got pretty much identical same amount of capacity, and Lewis Craig can't close in. And I think it does look as though Lewis Craig's running more downforce, doesn't it? I would say that is what, judging by what we've seen, it does look that way, doesn't it?
It does indeed, as we've got Daniel P. Wheelnut and Neljak. Daniel P. Wheelnut finally gets past Neljak with that DRS assistance now. So Daniel P. Wheelnut maybe just waiting for that DRS and will now start pushing on those medium tyres as well. Something to note there, Daniel P. Wheelnut on the medium tyres, so he'll have maybe that tyre advantage I was mentioning just before the race started on those tyres. So it'll be an interesting one to see as Kaya gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. One thing to avoid there is you do get notified of the speed pit lane in Imola very, very late on in that pit lane entry. So something that drivers will have to be wary of here, especially these title fight runners who really do not want to get penalties unnecessarily, as it could be detrimental to your race. But Jack Craig all over the back of Jacko.
Yeah, Jack Craig all over the back of Jacko, and Lewis Craig again gaining on Wet Lemons in the middle sector through the corners. And is it going to be the repeat of what we've just seen on the previous lap? Again, Wet Lemons.
Lewis Craig in.
Lewis Craig in, an early stop. He's going to try and do the undercut. He's got a
5-second penalty.
He's done exactly what you said. It's the pit lane line, comes up at you very, very quick, and he's got a penalty for it.
My goodness. So Lewis Craig, after that, oh my goodness, after Daniel P. Wheelnut and Jacko not having the best of starts, has now detrimentally got that 5-second penalty in the pit lane, trying to go for that early stop, trying to get the undercut on Wet Lemons. Oh my goodness, and officially Parser has just hit the wall.
Has he just hit the wall, Parser? Well, he's still going, but...
it could have been lag, I couldn't quite tell. But
well, he looks like he's struggling a little bit. Now Jeff right behind him and actually goes on the gravel there, so actually that might let Parser off. But I just wonder, does Wet Lemons know about that penalty for Lewis Craig? Because, of course, it might have come up on a screen very quickly in the top left-hand corner before Lewis Craig dropped out of the top 5. And maybe he's absolutely pushing right now, Wet Lemons, not knowing that Lewis Craig has this 5-second penalty. And, Wet Lemons really should just pit on this lap, shouldn't he? Because he knows he's not going to, he's got 5 seconds of gap. He may not know that, but he should be fairly comfortable for this race win if he pits on this lap. Let's see what he does. Is he going to respond to Lewis Craig? Yes, he does. Now, don't get a penalty, Wet Lemons. No, he doesn't get a penalty.
He doesn't, but M-Shep gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings there, as we were on board with Stay Sports, was right on the back of Neljak, but seems to have dropped off a bit now, as there seems to be the pit lane window, as we've got Chris Johnson and M-Shep. M-Shep takes the position round the outside of Chris Johnson. Oh, there's contact, and Chris Johnson has a hard spin. Oh my goodness me, as that wasn't the best of moves there from M-Shep and Chris Johnson, but now he is vulnerable to Daniel P. Wheelnut. Daniel P. Wheelnut looked like he was going to go for it, but seems to have slammed the anchors on, and Chris Johnson going way past him now. So Daniel P. Wheelnut thinking about his championship a bit more and not going for a silly move and trying to conserve those medium tyres a bit maybe as well. But plenty of battles up and down the field still, despite the pits now. And we're going to see where everybody comes out and if the medium to soft strategy is going to be the quicker one, Dan.
So, have we got Lewis Craig and Wet Lemons doing battle here? Lewis Craig and Wet Lemons are side by side on the track, and Lewis Craig is ahead. Lewis Craig in 12th place then, gets the position. Wet Lemons, of course, just come out the pit lane, and Lewis Craig has got that 5-second penalty, so it's not, unless he can build a gap, he's going to have to try and safely pull away, as Mike Moon is out. Mike Moon's out of the race, he's just lost their Alpha Minerali. So Lewis Craig ahead of Wet Lemons on the road, but he's going to have to try and find 5 seconds. And if Wet Lemons can just get DRS each lap, I mean, Wet Lemons may even be able to get straight back through here, because of course, such is the DRS. And
Daniel P. Wheelnut, sorry to interrupt here, coming around the outside of Chris Johnson into the first corner, seems to be relatively easily done. and he's going to go up the positions now, and that's going to be good for him. But we're going to go back to Wet Lemons and Lewis Craig as
Lewis Craig I know Lewis Craig is just like way ahead all of a sudden. I had to look at that battle as well, so I wonder if Wet Lemons might have made a bit of an error. Look how much he's closed in though at the end of the straight with the DRS and with what we assume lower downforce as well. So it's going to be a tough ask for Lewis Craig to build up a 5-second gap in this race. And well, we have to see what Magic Poop Cannon can do as well, because if Poop Cannon can put in a few good laps here on the mediums, he could also be within 5 seconds of Lewis Craig, and that also would be huge for the championship. Joe Sayer, the boat, by the way, obviously didn't get the anchors on in time for the pit lane, as he has also got a 5-second penalty.
Indeed, as Daniel P. Wheelnut now closing up on the back of M-Shep here. Obviously, not in net position at the moment with those pit stops from those front runners on the soft tyres happening, but Daniel P. Wheelnut seems to have really picked up the pace now and maybe trying to...
Lewis Craig trying to get past Mick Schumacher here, the traffic, and they're almost touching. Instant finish reverse, and they're going to touch. He spun! Lewis Craig has spun round, he's collided with Mick Schumacher, and he is going to be raging.
Oh my goodness me, it goes from bad to worse for Lewis Craig as he did get past his title rival there, and now fighting somebody who's out of position. Really, it shouldn't have happened for Lewis Craig, but seems to have been impatient.
Going to have to try and get the moves. What is Mick Schumacher doing? What is Mick Schumacher doing here? He's gone crazy. And he went Lemons off as well. Well, this is just unbelievable driving by Mick Schumacher there. I mean, it certainly wasn't Mick Schumacher kind of driving. It was Ralf Schumacher kind of driving. I don't know what he was doing. I've got to say, I really don't know what Mick Schumacher was doing, because he just totally got in Lewis Craig's way and then massively got on Wet Lemons' way. I don't know if you caught that, but when he had to take to the escape roads, and sorry, had to take the grass. So Lewis Craig and Wet Lemons have both been hit, and Wet Lemons is now 7 seconds behind Lewis Craig, and suddenly maybe the 5 seconds will be managed.
My goodness me. Wet Lemons, yeah, I only caught the end of that, and I didn't really catch the incident between Lewis Craig and Mick Schumacher as well, but not what you want to see really, between especially the title fight runners as well. But I can't see any damage on Wet Lemons'...
It's Lewis Craig again. And he gets past this time. Sorry, Luke, he gets past Mick Schumacher this time round. But of course, Mick Schumacher is teammate, the Poop Cannon, isn't he? So is he maybe playing the team game? But I mean, that was way too aggressive.
There's playing the team game and there's doing what Mick Schumacher did there. So not what we want to see here. But yeah, I don't know when the medium runners are supposed to be pitting for switching to the softs, but I'm imagining it's going to be happening soon, as Daniel P. Wheelnut has got past M-Shep in all of that drama that we were on board with Wet Lemons and Mick Schumacher. So yeah, good for Daniel P. Wheelnut in his race. Still 9 seconds behind Magic Poop Cannon, who's running quite a dominant race out here in front again. Maybe this isn't going to be the case after the pit stops, but he seems to be running his own race and doing quite well. So Magic Poop Cannon definitely one to watch with Daniel P. Wheelnut as well. But yeah, I'm just a bit speechless about what happened there with Mick Schumacher, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Poop Cannon, with Wet Lemons losing so much time and Lewis Craig having the penalty. Lewis Craig didn't lose as much time, but Lewis Craig does have the penalty. He is probably the favourite now, Poop Cannon, I would say, to win this race. He's going to have on the fresh soft tyres, and let's see, he's 26 seconds behind ahead of Lewis Craig. I think he'll lose about 27, 28 seconds with a pit stop around here. It's a very long pit lane, of course. So, yeah, Poop Cannon is the favourite to win this race as a result of some astonishing driving by Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, as Mick Schumacher actually picks up another 3-second time penalty. I've seen that come up a few times, so he could be nearing disqualification, and the stewards will not be happy with him at the end of the race, I'm sure. So that'll be one to watch for that anyway. But we're on board here with M-Shep, as he's still keeping in touching distance of Daniel P. Wheelnut. Seems to have settled down quite a bit now throughout the field, as M-Shep goes very wide through that corner. But yeah, Blair Grylls on the back of Speed Sully.
Yeah, so we've got 6 laps to go then. As you say, we've got, well, pretty much everybody on medium tyres. Speed Sully's on the hard tyres. Mr. John on the soft tyres at this stage. He's just pitted. As Chris Johnson also going very wide now. Tyres possibly starting to go for these guys now on the mediums. Pit stops, I assume, will be coming up. And in comes Poop Cannon then. So in comes the race leader, and he is very, very sure not to break that speed limit there. Is Wheelnut going to come in as well, and M-Shep,
Yes,
because this is
he is.
important for the
They're both
championship
coming
as
in.
well, of course. And yeah, Wheelnut in, M-Shep in, Chris Johnson in as well, so none of them trying to go for any sort of overcut. They're all coming in now. So Poop Cannon is got his soft tyres on. Now let's see where Lewis Craig is. Lewis Craig's coming through
The
the
final
final
corner.
Ravazza, and he's using his ERS. Poop Cannon is about to hit the pit exit, like you say. It's 5 seconds is all that's needed here. And Lewis Craig will go ahead, but 5 seconds is that's not gonna be happening 5 seconds. And Poop Cannon will easily get those soft tyres, of course, up to temperature as well, and will be able to possibly gain. Out the pit lane, meanwhile, as well, Wheelnut, Jack Craig goes ahead of Wheelnut. These guys are all filtering out. It's going to be chaos with these guys in the closing laps, as Wheelnut comes out in 8th, just behind Jack Craig.
Indeed, as Wheelnut seems to be already trying to fight the back of Jack Craig, even despite those tyres not being up fully to temperature already. So maybe Jack Craig suffering there with the medium tyres worn, as Daniel P. Wheelnut really taking that corner quite wide. So an interesting one to see here. But we've got Parser right behind him as well. M-Shep also behind him too. This is going to be an interesting fight for net P7 at the moment behind Jack Craig, as all of those runners coming out of the pits and now probably have their tyres up to temperature. But more importantly, Magic Poop Cannon is ahead of Wet Lemons, but behind Lewis Craig on those soft tyres as they're coming through the first Ravazza. So this is going to be interesting to see what Magic Poop Cannon can do here.
Right, okay, so we've got Wheelnut then. Let's watch the front because, Bazza pits. So Lewis Craig is in the lead, and here comes Poop Cannon then on the soft tyres. He will know about Lewis Craig's penalty, and you would imagine it would be an easy move, although Lewis Craig may try and defend it, and actually, Lewis Craig manages to defend that. So Poop Cannon has to stay behind. I want to see what's going on midfield, though, because Wheelnut's getting past Jack Craig here. Every position Wheelnut makes up now is vital in the championship, and he gets into 6th place.
He gets into 6th place, but next up is Mick Schumacher. Hopefully Mick Schumacher's antics from before have calmed down so that Daniel P. Wheelnut can attack him fairly, with Jacko ahead of Mick Schumacher as well here. And I imagine he'll get out of the way for his teammate, as Wet Lemons is further up the road from him, 3.8 seconds up the road from him here. But Magic Poop Cannon is the one all over the back of Lewis Craig here, as we are on lap 12 of 16 around here in Imola, and Magic Poop Cannon could take a double win from tonight on those soft tyres, Dan.
Yeah, he certainly could, but I tell you what, if I'm Wheelnut right now, I'm doing a little prayer. It's not even religious, but doing a little prayer. And I mean, look at this. He's going to come right behind Mick Schumacher. This is where the instance happened with Lewis Craig, as runs a little bit wide, Mick Schumacher. And just what? Oh, there we go. He's backing off again.
What's he doing again?
This is just ridiculous. This is really, really stupid. Mick Schumacher, as again.
Sorry, we're going on board with Magic Poop Cannon. Magic Poop Cannon going up the left-hand side of Lewis Craig. Seems to be relatively easy now that Lewis Craig didn't get the DRS on this lap. And that is the lead for Magic Poop Cannon, already 3.5 tenths ahead. But we're going to go back with Daniel P. Wheelnut, as, he's managed to get through cleanly now. Jack Craig as well. And looks like Mick Schumacher has gone into the pits now. As you say, that prayer might have been for him to go into the pits, and it seems to have worked out for them. So, all game now for Daniel P. Wheelnut, 2 seconds behind his teammate. We've got M-Shep all over the back of Jack Craig here, almost trying to make a move into the Villeneuve chicane as they come into the left-hand hairpin here. He's going to go for the move. It's a dive bomb from M-Shep, and he seems to have kept that relatively clean and got the run done, and he's actually got the position there, Dan.
This is a mega battle for 6th place in this race, with different tyre compounds as well. M-Shep's got ahead now, though, so you would assume on those soft tyres he might be able to build a bit of a gap. But Chris Johnson, also on the softs, is right behind these two on mediums, and he will want to get past both of them as well. But because this could get really tasty in the closing laps. Wet Lemons is 3.8 seconds behind Lewis Craig, so he may even lose 2nd place in this race as well, Lewis Craig, which also could be absolutely vital in the World Championship.
Indeed, it'll keep the championship alive. Wet Lemons, 3.8 seconds, as you say. Is that gap coming down? It seems to be coming down. Don't know if Wet Lemons is using the ERS to try and gain on him here, or if that's just his outright.
Lewis Craig gets back ahead of Poop Cannon. So they're still doing battling for the lead, but sadly, we can't get too excited about it because of Lewis Craig's penalty, and of course because of the fact that if Mick Schumacher was not going on a crazy course tonight, Lewis Craig would assume you'd be way out ahead at this stage. But Poop Cannon again is still trying to fight it, I mean, imagine if these made contact. That would just about sum up this race. As Jack Craig and Parser side by side here again now, and Chris Johnson also on the soft side of a time ago.
My goodness me. So, yeah, Chris Johnson not being able to make...
Look at the exit Jack Craig's got here. Into Pinatel, and they're going to be side by side. This is going to
work.
Contact!
And the Parser is round! Parser is round!
And Chris Johnson hit his card as well as he was spinning, so Chris Johnson's going to have damage now as well.
Yeah, front wing damage. Lost the end plate on the left-hand side, unfortunately for him. He was running such a good race there, and that's just a shame for him, unfortunately, that he's made contact with the spinning car. But we're going to go back up to the front here with Magic Poop Cannon as they come through the second Ravazza. DRS is going to be wide open for Magic Poop Cannon. Lewis Craig not using his ERS to try and defend here, but Magic Poop Cannon is quite far behind by the looks of things. Is he going to try anything here? He's too far back by the looks of things, so that's going to stay there. But Wet Lemons is 2.8 seconds now behind the leaders. That's taken a second out in the previous lap.
Yeah, and so I was just seeing Wheelnut move out, or Jacko move over there for Wheelnut. Obviously not a difficult move for Wheelnut at all. So Wheelnut then into fourth place, and we've ended up somehow, despite all the chaos, we've ended up with the top four in the championship, the top four on the road, not necessarily in order of what the championship standings are, but the top four fighting for the championship, all in the top four now. And Parser, looks like Parser has crashed out of the race. He's done a Liverpool when he found out how much Jude Bellingham costs. He is out of the race, and he is now in the interview pen, and he'll be talking about the scenes that he's witnessed in this race. He was battling in that battle, wasn't he, with M-Shep and Jack Craig and Chris Johnson?
He was, yeah. So we're on board here, Magic Poop Cannon, going through the first and second Ravazzas as they're coming onto the back straight. Magic Poop Cannon much closer now behind Lewis Craig. He's going to have the DRS again. Is he going to actually go for the move on the track? He looks to be much, much closer. And it looks like it's going to be a relatively easy move for him, as there was a car there.
That was Parser's car.
It was Parser's car, my goodness me. So a glitch there from the game. Sort the game out, Cody's, please, because that's not what we want to see here. But Magic Poop Cannon doesn't seem to be attacking Lewis Craig too heavily there. Probably knows he's got the 5-second penalty and doesn't want to do anything stupid here. But oh my goodness, he was getting very close coming through the Villeneuve chicane, but not doing so at the moment, Dan.
Yeah, this is look how much Wet Lemons is gaining here. I mean, Lewis Craig is he knows he's now gonna be finishing third, but what's he trying to do? Is he trying to maybe surely is he trying to get whole big Wet Lemons catch up or something? I mean, Wet Lemons and Poop Cannon, Wet Lemons 207 points, Poop Cannon 206. So theoretically, Lewis Craig would want Poop Cannon to win the race, I suppose, wouldn't he? I suppose because Wet Lemons got more points. I don't know, but anyway, Wet Lemons is closed right up at the very end here. Oh, there we go. And now there goes Poop Cannon through, and Poop Cannon's going to win the race on the road now as well.
Yeah, so Poop Cannon just finally making the move here. Wet Lemons right on the back of Lewis Craig here. So as you say, they're going to come across the line, and Magic Poop Cannon is going to take the win. Lewis Craig is going to go down into third place. Don't think Daniel P. Wheelnut is close enough to be able to take his position there. So Daniel P. Wheelnut will finish behind Lewis Craig, with Jacko playing the team game there to finish in fifth place, with M-Shep in sixth. Jack Craig in seventh place coming across the line now. Chris Johnson actually takes it now after penalties. So Jack Craig in sixth, Chris Johnson in seventh, M-Shep in eighth, Nell Jack in ninth. And yeah, we see Say Sports there with a 5-second time penalty unserved. Probably for speeding in the pit lane. Mr. John will come across the line in 13th place. Speed's only a race to forget for him in 14th place. Mick Schumacher already finished due to the lapsed car. But yeah, another drama-filled race here in Imola, as well as China. And yeah, I'm not sure what the standings are looking like here, Dan, but it's looking pretty spicy as Lewis Craig actually gets driver of the day.
Yeah, I shall try and work out now before we go as while we look at the scenes on the podium.
Indeed. So yeah, great drive yet again there for Magic Poop Cannon to be able to take the win on the track as well. So that's his second win of the night. Lewis Craig in third place there, as you can see, with Wet Lemons in second. So very, very interesting penultimate round of the championship. The Williams loving again the champagne being sprayed all over them. as the driver takes the win yet again tonight. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what those championship standings look like and what we're going to be looking like going into the final rounds, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in the final moments here, just adding them up. Lewis Craig got fastest lap as well, so that's quite important, that isn't it, for him? Considering he had the penalty as well.
Indeed. So we'll quickly run through your order then. We've got Magic Poupcan taking that win with Wet Lemons in second and Lewis Craig rounding out the podium. Some fantastic racing there, despite some of the drama being caused by Mick Schumacher. Daniel P. Wheelnut in 14th, a recovery drive for him after his terrible start to Imola, with Jacko playing the team game in 5th and Jack Craig in 6th. Chris Johnson in 7th place with M. Shep in 8th, Nell Jack in 9th and Blair Grills rounding out your top 10. Then we've got Stay Sports in 11th, Bazza in 12th, Speed Sully in 13th, a race to forget for him, Mr. John in 14th, Mick Schumacher in 15th. He'll be in the steward's room having to explain himself there. Officially Passer in 16th, Kaya in 17th, and Mike Noon, DNF, in 18th, rounding out your order there. So, yeah, again, some great racing, drama-filled racing throughout China and Imola. And the stewards have definitely earned their money tonight and will be earning their money, I'm sure, later into the night to understand where everybody's going to be coming out at the end of Imola and at the end of the night. But yeah, we've got Dan now to go scores on the doors.
Yeah, I've got the points. I think these are right. Apologies if they are not. Obviously, you can check the website for in a moment or a bit later tonight for the actual full results of it, and it will all, of course, be official as you look at it on there. As hang on. Yeah, so right now then, so at the end of tonight, going into the final week of the season, we have got, I believe, you've got Lewis Craig on 239 points, and then we've got Poop Cannon, who's had an incredible night, of course, on 231 points. Wet Lemons on 225, Wheelnut on 224. So there are 15 points separating the top 4 in the championship for the final 2 races of the season.
Wow. It's really going to go down to the wire here. And yeah, Lewis Craig, despite some of the drama that's happened tonight, seems to still be out on top at the moment with that 8-point gap between second place and Daniel P. Wheelnut. Seems to be dropping down the order and losing a bit of momentum here, but yeah, it's been a great night, and it's going to be even better with all of this tension going into the final rounds, which are in, I believe, Great Britain first, then Japan. Is that the right order?
I think Japan first, and then Silverstone as the finale. You know, Silverstone was the finale when I think Poop Cannon and Chris Johnson had that incredible battle in TGP2 a few years ago, and Chris Johnson lost it basically the very final couple of corners to Bingham. And so if we have a finale like that, then it's going to be incredible stuff. And with 4 contenders in the mix as well, I mean, it's going to be brilliant.
This is what we like to see in TGP2 and what we like to see in any championship fight. Dan, obviously having the experience of them, and myself have had a couple as well. Not the most clean of ones, but we'll gloss over that anyway. But yeah, please join us next week for the final rounds of TGP2 Season 33 with that 4-way title fight coming in to Japan. You got to be with us. It's going to be Dom Smith and me in the commentary box. But any final thoughts before? Sorry.
But yeah, my final thought is don't forget to bring a calculator next week.
Yes, I'll leave the points hopefully up to Dom. He's definitely better on the calculator than me. But yeah, thank you again for joining us here in TGP2. Join us next week for the season finale, which is definitely one you don't want to miss. But as always, see you on PS4.